Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here, and welcome to this panel, which is titled Observatories or Multipliers. We are gonna deal with data, observatories, and what they mean, what they can provide for destinations. To be more precise, the research question we're gonna deal with today has to do with the value they can actually provide. So the research question that I'm gonna pose my colleagues here, whom I warmly thank, is how destinations can actually make their data, the outcomes of their observatories, more useful and more understandable for their partners, the stakeholders or the citizens, or to frame it in another way, to democratize access to data. The reason for this is simple. We all know that all sorts of data sets are available to destinations and to data analysts, but in many cases, and don't want to say all cases, this value, the value which is intrinsical, maybe that the expression doesn't exist in English, but you probably understand what I mean, does not spread, does not translate into actual value for stakeholders and citizens. So to see what actual strategies, tactics, and actions have been put in place, we have today several great experiences. First of which is Visit Data, which is going to be shown to us by Anna Risager, who's business development analyst at Visit Denmark. Then we got the Osservatorio Turistico Regionale del Veneto. We got with us Paola Bagatella, who is Insights Manager for the Osservatorio. We got Marco Antonioli, who's Head of Research at Studio Giacardi Associati, and not with us in flesh, but with us for sure in words and mind, Stefano Taddio, who's Manager for Observatories, CRM, and Digital Marketing at Promo Turismo FVG. Last thing before we get started with Anna is, of course, the research question is the one I already sketched, but the underlying point is also how to mix and make sense of the heterogeneous data that destinations have to cope with. To deal with these questions, I will immediately leave the floor to Anna. Welcome, the stage is yours.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here today, Giovanni. I'm really happy about that, and thank you for welcoming me to Florence. So before we jump into Visit Data, which is what we'll be talking about today, as anticipated by Giovanni, I'll just put a few words to who I am and what I've been doing before joining Visit Data. So first of all, I worked at the largest telco in Denmark, where my job was to figure out how we actually retain customers in store and keep them from switching to cheaper competitors. And I've also worked in fast-moving consumer goods in both the shoes industry and the jewelry business, where it's been all about figuring out how to create the most meaningful products and communication that really resonates with consumers out there. And when we talk about my current role here at Visit Data, and what I do here is I work with the National Tourism Observatory, which is all about making data available, as Giovanni also said before. It's about making it as useful as possible for businesses. So it's all about talking to stakeholders out there to assess their needs, creating more meaningful guides, materials for them to actually start using the platform, and all about also motivating them from a commercial perspective, so talking to them about their business goals and how data can actually make them reach those goals. So the red thread in my career is I focus on creating better products and meeting consumers' needs through very meaningful insights. And also just a small fun fact, I told the panel already, I do speak a little bit of Italian. I used to live in Italy when I was a child, actually. So Italy has a very special place in my heart. So also just a warning, if some of you try to speak behind my back, I might actually understand. So just a small disclaimer. Yeah. So let's jump into it then. What is visit data actually? So starting out with a map of Denmark. It's a national tourism observatory in Denmark. Denmark consists of the mainland, Jutland, and then we have the two islands, Funen and Zealand. And Copenhagen is located on Zealand. So what Visit Data does is it gathers information from accommodation, attractions, and events. And apart from that, it also spices it up with different national data sources. The first one is telco data. So this is where we can actually track where people are moving, so where our visitors are coming from and where they're going the next time. And secondly, we have weather data, where we can look into factors such as sun and wind and temperature and rain to see how that affects these different tourism businesses. And I mean, a thing like rain is unfortunately especially super relevant in Denmark. So it means on a very practical level that, for instance, a campsite can plan some indoor activities instead of maybe opening the swimming pool outside. So that's the kind of the first two data sources that we put into or supply the other data with. The third one is transactional data, where we can see what tourists actually spend their money on, which of course helps these different tourist businesses to have the right things on shelf when the specific visitors are coming to see them. And then all of this data that I just talked about goes into the Visit Data machine, which is a platform that's available out there for both DMOs and for tourism businesses to use. But for it to actually work, we of course need a lot of critical data on the platform, which is where we are right now, really trying to build up the critical mass that we need in there. Because what we're then able to, with the visit data, when we have all the data that we need, and when we've actually also supported the different businesses, we're actually able to help them in two very distinct ways. The first one is helping them do market comparisons. So for instance, as a hotel, you can see how is your hotel performing compared to others. And also you can actually see insights to other industries. So for instance, as a museum, you can see how many people are expected in your region, how many overnight stays in the next, for instance, 3 months, so that you can start preparing and planning accordingly. Or if you have, for instance, a vacation house, you can see ticket sales and you can compare them with your own stays. But again, we're at a stage now where we need the critical mass, and we need the data that makes benchmarks reliable. And by providing this data to tourism businesses, we're helping to build a data culture and showing the commercial benefits of making these data-driven decisions, which I mean could sound easy, but it's definitely not. So let's talk a little bit about how we actually do that. Because I think for now, it all sounds pretty good. Like we have the platform, we have the data, we also have the user access. Okay, well, all good then. But it's much more than just giving access to a platform. So one of the things I would like to talk to you about is a tool that we use in Visit Data to assess and help our stakeholders make use of data. It's data maturity, which I'm sure most of you have heard of already. But as the tourism landscape for sure varies a lot, so does data maturity out there. So we typically work with these 4 different levels that I've outlined, going from beginner to curious to aware, and lastly, a strategist. And not everyone have to end up in the strategist. Most businesses can make remarkable changes by just jumping from one level to the next. So to actually help businesses lift their data maturity levels, we focus on 3 different things. The first one is from a technical perspective, where we create this technical alignment by providing a very clear data scheme that tells businesses what kind of data can be integrated and merged very smoothly into our Visit Data Machine platform. So that's the technical thing that's always going on. And secondly, we have a constant, which is a big part of my job in Visit Data, is listening to stakeholders. So it's basically about understanding their world, what drives them, and their business goals. Because, of course, we know that users don't always know what they want, so it's not just about asking them what they want, but it's about actually listening to what's important to them. And thirdly, it's about always involving users in the creation, not just in the data platform itself. Of course, it's super important with user involvement there, but it's also in the support materials that we create. So the guides that they need, when we create the frequently asked questions lists, when the cases and the inspiration that they need. So it's not just a top-down process of us giving them materials, but it's a co-creation process where we really do it together with the tourism landscape out there. Yeah, and I just want to end on this note, because democratizing data, which is what Giovanni also just introduced that we are talking about today, for us it's not just about making it available and accessible to people, but it's about actually making it meaningful and involving stakeholders in it in order to democratize it. So yeah, this was my first introduction to Visit Data, and I hope it gave you some inspiration to how you build a national observatory, and how it's not just about making it, but actually all the work revolving it.
Thank you very much, Anna, for sketching this a fresco. There would be plenty of questions already, but let's keep them for our chat later. And I leave the floor to Marco Antonioli. Marco, with the Studio Giaccardi and Associati, you have been doing a great survey about observatories in our country. Can you tell us something about this?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Giovanni, and everybody for being here. And this is the research. The research we called the cross-data innovation, because you will see along the presentation why we think we should evolve the way that we present data in Italy. First of all, a small introduction about myself. I'm also a sociologist, so that's the point of view that I'm bringing to data analysis as well. And we are a studio that is working on consultancy for destination and research as well. So we are the ones that are using the observatories to do our researches, and often in Italy we don't find many things. Fortunately, here on stage and at home we have somebody that is using them very, very well, at least is giving a benchmark to reach. So, first of all, let me thank the team that worked on this project. 2 of them, you know them quite well, Rodolfo Baggio, that is here, and also Giuseppe Giaccardi, who is the CEO of our studio, but especially Sofia Dalle Fabbriche, who did the most of this research that I'm presenting to you. So, we start from 5 assumptions. We think that there are new challenges for tourism. Climate change is a challenge, and Anna was mentioning it in Visit Data. There are not many observatories in Italy who have weather information. AI, deglobalization. Unfortunately, we are living in a world with 2 different wars going on and even more. Then there are new challenging opportunities for sustainable tourism. All-season services. We work a lot in seaside destinations, and the average time that people are staying is becoming bigger and bigger, especially in shoulder months. And also in the northern countries, they are starting to do seaside more than in Italy almost. New role of tourism destinations, they're changing from marketing promotion to governance of all the local assets, and Veneto is giving a very good example on this in Italy. Then there are new tasks for tourism businesses, engaging all year round demand, but especially being at this panel, we think that public data must be public, plural, and integrated. So it must be accessible to everybody, to the businesses, but also to the operators and to the students at university as well. Let's go in, which is the idea of the research. The cross-data innovation idea is the availability of an ideal online dashboard model that provides access to a set of integrated and complex data. So the purpose and the motivation to this research is to promote the idea and practice of cross-data innovation dashboard models that can be operated online. And this is the field of the research that we have made. 19 regions, 2 autonomous provinces, which are Trentino and Alto Adige, and then 3 national observatories, Italy, France, and Spain. And we'll see that some of them are already at the cross-data innovation idea. This is the model that we propose, that is to connect trend and performances from the tourist point of view, so each night spends, arrivals, and so on, are not enough anymore. We need for sure to have also digital trends, and we have them in a lot of observatories in Italy, and then we need to have socioeconomic trends. We need to understand how are the destinations where we live. We don't have any observatory in Italy that is giving demographic data, which is the demographic people that are living in our destination. It's hard to make a destination without people living in a destination. And then also climatic trends, we think that are very important. And this is the paper that we used to filter the observatories. So this is the research paradigm that we used. So we went to analyze which is the purpose, the mission, and the structure, which is the target audience, the type of data, the AI tools, and so on. And which is the, and then we had some literature also that told us, okay, you are doing quite interesting job, at least there is somebody that is claiming it as well. These are 3 articles. I would like to read you the title of these articles because I think that they're giving already an answer to the research question that Giovanni gave us. First one is Bridging the Science Policy Gap in Sustainable Tourism, Evidence from a Multiple Case Study Analysis of UNWTO INSTO Sustainable Tourism Observatory. The second one is Governance of Tourism Destinations, Reflections on the Contributions of the Tourism. And the third one, which is the most interesting for me, it's What Should Tourism Observatories Be Doing? Identifying Key Success Drivers. Some of them are in Italy and the other one are made in Spain. This is the highlights of what we understood from the research. We have 18 on 21 regions that we analyzed that have a system to manage tourism data. This means that 3 on 21 don't have any system to analyze tourism data. Then 9 on 18 have an infrastructure with organized contents, and 8 out of 18, they have open and actionable data. This is very important for businesses to have. Like, you can download your data, use an Excel file, and then analyze it. The type of data collected is often limited to tourism data only, and sometimes they're integrated with digital data. No other type of the 2 data. And then there are no regional tourism observatory. This one we see it from our point of view, so the user point of view, has no chatbots or AI tools. Now even Istat has it. It's not working very well, honestly, but they have it. And then about involving the stakeholders, and Paola will speak about it right after me. In terms of participation, the OTRF of the Veneto region is the one with the formal collaboration model signed by almost 50 stakeholders from all over the regions. That's very, very important. And this is the highlights on the national cases. As you see, Italy has tourist data, digital data. France has also climate data. It's France Turismo Observation, which is online, and you see how well they're building their stakeholders community as well. And then we have the cross-data innovation model, which is similarized by Spain, which has all the 4 kinds of data. And this is exactly the dashboard that you see on Data Tour. So they have data about tourism, data about the economy of tourism, data about transports, businesses, sustainability and climate as well inside, and then also a part of reports. So the idea of this research is to say we need to cross data, to cross different kind of data. Otherwise, we'll just understand a little part of what the complexity of tourism is. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Marco. Here, again, plenty of questions and insights that we could deep dive into, but let's keep it for later, and let's move to an actual experience. So Regione Veneto is a landmark in Italy for this kind of actions. So please, Paola, let us know something more about how you work and how you make your data more useful and understandable for your stakeholders.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Giovanni, to introduce me and to involve me in this interesting discussion. To answer to your first question, I think the elements why the observatory has become a point of reference in these last years are many. First of all, I think the structural and strategical choice to create an observatory that with a federated model. This means to share open data and information. The network include also the Veneto region, also the region Union of Chamber of Commerce, and other quite 50 partners, including all the 70 DMOs in which is organized the Veneto region, also the university of the region, and categories and research institutions. And also to improve and to make the user experience more friendly, all documents and report and infographics and trends are collected and organized in a specific area. While all the tourism data are collected into an interactive dashboard. Here, reading singular KPI is quite intuitive thanks to the data visualization in the dashboard. Here there is an overview of our main tools and KPI that are available. So you can find bar charts and geographical maps based on arrivals and overnight stays, but also you can find sentiment and reputation online that gave us some qualitative data and strategical input. Thanks to the collaboration with that appeal company. Then we have also the main KPI of hospitality data intelligence, thanks to the collaboration with categories and with H benchmark booking software. And at least a focus on visiting economy, so the main KPI of spending in Veneto region and in their specific destinations. Also to improve and to try to engage our stakeholder and all our tourism supply chain, we continue to in this activity of a periodic newsletter that mean about 800 of subscribers in all the regional territory. And also we are trying some reports that focus on specific destination or specific items. At least I think it's very important to mention the smart tourism destinations call for proposals, which Veneto region funded some business intelligence activities. And thank you to this funding, the result was that several DMOs, several destinations are developing their own dashboard and their own observatory. To conclude this first overview about our state of the art, I think that all these elements make us big progress in this last year in about the issue of data culture, and data culture is the main issue for us, because within data culture the observatory becomes a data storage device, and that's all. while our goal is to continue to work on that and to become the observatory the first step to make a governance in tourism with our destination and with our whole tourism supply chain. But if we think to the complexity to bring together so many sources and a level of analysis, obviously some challenges are still open. And so I think that these first three challenges tell us that it's not so easy to obtain an integrated reading of data. Because of the variety of the data set that are available nowadays. Variety in terms of area composition, because we have some data that are collected in STL, that is the old system of collection, arrival, and overnight stays. And it's important to maintain this element, this system to ensure a benchmark with time series. But also some data that are collected by DMO and also by thematic cluster, for example, each benchmark data. Variety also in terms of temporal granularity. So we have weekly data or monthly data, but also data that are ready in quite real time, and other data that need a longer time to be validated. And at least variety in terms of representativeness, so statistical data that represent all the universe, and sample data that are a part of the whole. And it's relevant to understand the weight of each data set. At least it's important to us to ensure a multi-level governance, so to do in a clear way what are the role and the function of the observatory, of the regional observatory, and the role of the function in the DMO's observatory, because working in a smart way means also make some economy of scale and also work in a complementary way. So regarding and looking to AI functionalities, it's important for us to go towards this scenario. So if we think to the observatory of the future, we try and we hope that the observatory can be improve itself in this four main area. So facilitating and integrating data reading, overcoming the variety of data set available, but also obtaining timely data, support thanks to the shorter time that AI need. And also work with forecasting analysis in addition to reporting, and forecasting including also not only the time series, but also external factors and tourism trends in general. And last but not least, governance leadership. So continue this process in the role of the data and the observatory in a data-driven approach, also in relation with our specific context of a multi-level governance that I told before. So for the moment, it's all, and thank you all.
Thank you, Paola, for this comprehensive overview over the Veneto experience. And let's now move to Friuli Venezia Giulia with Stefano. Stefano, what
Hello,
kind...
everybody. Yes.
Hello,
Can
can you hear us?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Please,
Perfect.
the floor is yours. Actions, strategies, and problems solved with your experience. Please.
Okay. Perfect. Let me share the screen. I don't know if it works.
We
Is
do.
working? Okay. Yeah, probably you see it. Okay. Thank you for being here, and thanks to my colleague. I'm sorry for not sharing the stage together. I have some problem today, so I'm here in the screen, but we got it, and that's enough, I think. Okay, quite everything has been said about the observatory and how we work about it. So I just move quite fast across our idea. But just to be clear, here we are. I'm sorry, I have to move the. Okay, oh, he's gone. The challenge, why we decide. So I would like to talk about why we decide to start in work with the observatory. So in the recent years, we have the Friuli Venezia Giulia has evolved rapidly, and we have a lot of data, but the data was fragmented, spread across multiple systems, sources, and formats. So we need a single ecosystem capable of integrating all of this information and turning into real intelligence. Because if we have a lot of data but we can't read it, is not useful for us. And that's where we started when we started. Mainly, our mission and our goal was to transform raw tourist data in actionable strategic insight, because we need that that the people and the stakeholders that work with us can read it, can use it, and can bring some. I'm sorry. Can bring some. No, okay. Let's move on. To gain more useful data, here it is. I'm sorry. We do this through digital ecosystem. Okay, let's start with this, and collect and harmonize all this data. The data was from a multiple kind of system, and here it is. Okay, we decide to work with a data lakehouse architecture that can contain all the data we have. And in this kind of lakehouse, we can have the flexibility of put together data in real time and historical data. That brings us the opportunity of share in different type of insight to the people who ask what has happened to the event or to whatever they are looking for, some answer given by the data. So the most of the data in our platform are about property source, like Ferrate, Regiondo, Meteo, Autoactive, Istat, Access, as Paola mentioned before, and some market sources like MasterCard, Datapil, HBenchmark, and Vodafone Analytics, that are very useful for us to better understand the impact of the things we are doing on the territory. So if we have more event, or if we have a strategical campaign, we can combine all those data to better understand the ROA and the ROAS of the campaign, or the impact of the event. Sorry, okay. But okay, this is the architectural things. I don't know if you need it, but okay, we have the data source. There is an integration layer. I put it just to be complete with my description, but you know, the integration layer can harmonize all these data that are very fragmented. So you need to bring together different timeline, different kind of data, and it's very important to have an integration layer to harmonize everything. Then there is a data lakehouse where everything is put and in a raw version. And over there, we can create some analytics inside with BI and with AI. And that's an important point that I will share with you at the end of my presentation. We have two kind of analysis that we can do, merge this kind of data. The first type of analysis is the script analysis mentioned by Paula, mentioned by Anna, working with arrivals, stays, occupancy rates, or whatever we can have. But we can work on a predictive analysis to better understand the future trend and to better understand the correlation between the tourist behavior and their needs. So to try to be more focused on the needs of the tourism and to be more focused on what the citizen need, because many times we don't look at the citizen and we have to look to them too. So it's important to bring these things together. This is the, okay, yes, it's going on. This is the two mainly output we have it is an automated marketing, so we can do marketing campaign with the data we have, and business intelligence. So we can have a Power BI dashboard related to all the data we are working on. And every dashboard can bring to some different stakeholders the right information to be more accessible for them and be more clear for them. But on top of that, there's the mainly things we think about the democratization of the data that Anna and all the other colleagues mentioned before, is about an AI assistant for the natural data interaction, because we think we have to talk with the data and not just search about the data. So we think that no one can know everything about data, and it's difficult to have the right information we need. So we are working on this kind of AI just to be more clear with the stakeholders and the people who would like to work with the data. So you just ask to the AI, and the AI give you a response in the same languages you will use. So helping you to better understand what you are searching and what you need. And that's a very important thing, because Anna said that involve the stakeholder is very, very important, and definitely is, because if you don't involve them, they don't use it, and all the product goes on. And if you can involve them and talk the same language of them, you can be on top of their mind when they need some insight about what is happening and what could happen in the future. Okay, so as Paula mentioned before, we have the same kind of stakeholder working on this data. So there are operators, we have local authorities, and we have decision makers that are using this data for data optimized to better understand what is happening to the region, to understand the event and what the event can bring to the local business, and to decision maker and politician to better understand what they can do and what they can involve on the next year, and what they can do in the next year to create a better tourism and a more sustainable tourism in the land. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Stefano. My sense is we got room for one round of questions, my sense, and so many topics to address, so time is not enough. We got issues of levels of accessibility of data. We got issues related to data culture. Both Anna and Paola mentioned them. Stefano was mentioning the concept of sharing the same language with stakeholders. Most of you talked about AI and how to go predictive, but let me step back for a second. I mean, we are all kind of sure that generative AI will bring about major improvements in how to make data accessible to stakeholders. But I would like you, at least Anna, Paola, and Stefano, to deep dive a little bit into what we got now in terms of reports. So reports, where reporting is the first way of providing a valuable outcome for stakeholders. And do you by chance have different kinds of reports for different stakeholders? Because we all talk stakeholders, but there are all sorts of different stakeholders, right? So first question is, what kind of reports do you use today? And do you by chance have different reports for different types of stakeholders? Anna, please.
Yeah, it's a good question, and for sure the AI part is also something we're building on top of the Visit Data platform, because we know it's super relevant already now and will be even more in the future. When it comes to reports, this is something we are actually working on continuously with stakeholders, a buzzword today, figuring out some stakeholders want something like you mentioned, Marco, like an Excel sheet, and then they can really figure out from there how to crunch these numbers, how to make them into actions and so on. But with a lot of our stakeholders, we're actually doing these longer courses, you could almost call it, with them, where we go out, assess their needs, figure out what do you need, how can we help you crunch some of the numbers in the platform if maybe their data maturity level isn't super high. If they're at a beginner level, then we will kind of hold their hand in the process and figure out how to actually maybe create the reports ourselves from the data platform and then hand it over and make sure that the next time they are able to do it themselves. With others, it's much more, they might be more mature on a data maturity level, so maybe it's a little less hand-holding, but my point is we're very open in the process, and we haven't got a very straight and forward way of doing it. It's very dependent on their needs.
Thank you. Paola.
For our experience on report, we are tasting to do some report in a specific destination or items. For destination, for example, we made a report for Verona and Garda Foundation because with this particular these two particular DMO, we support their work to show to all the stakeholders in their territory on focus on that data at the end of a year. So to obtain a sort of balance, a sort of report, to do a checkpoint of the situation on tourism and through different KPI that we analyzed together. And it's a way to engage their attention and the data culture. On the other side, we receive some question for product report. So, what is the situation about cultural tourism?
US tourists.
Yes, yes.
From specific markets, for example. Yeah.
Okay. And this is an activity that we can find, that we can do on demand. But the difficult part of these activities, it's related to time spending. And
I bet.
yes. And so in this way,
yes, I mean, we don't have time today to explore the issue of, personnel and available time, but that's a major issue.
Yes.
And Stefano, what about you? What have you been doing yet in terms of, reports and reports for which stakeholders?
Okay, and mainly we work with report on event. So mainly we work with University of Udine. that prepare the report and make it readable for all the audience, helping us on this job that is not so easy, as Paula mentioned. Yeah, mainly on event right now. Then we have some product inside. So winemaker that can ask us how the people are going, where they are spending, where they are moving, because using Vodafone data, for example, we can measure where they are moving around the area, Collio area in our cases, and try to understand where they sleep, if they sleep on our side or on Slovenian side, where they go, how they move, and that's an important thing to us because we are on the border. So with this kind of data, it's easier to understand how they move and create a better offer for them, because maybe if they need something to move forward the region, our region, Slovenian region, maybe we can have more bus or more bike to make it easier for them.
Thanks so much, Stefano. And Marco, you have been investigating the issue of observatories in depth. Did you investigate reports? And if so, did you find any good practices in our country or elsewhere that you want to share with the group?
That's easy question, as always. No, so yeah, for sure we have few good practices in Italy, and as I mentioned before, we have one on stage here, like what Veneto region is doing also on the report part is very useful. We've been working for different destinations in Veneto, and it's useful to have this kind of data and to have them actionable on the OTRF website. Then we have another experience which is in Alto Adige, the Alto Adige region, which has a dashboard, simply dashboard on Power BI, so which is quite easy to access for everybody. And they're giving a very interesting report about their market segments. Like they have a demographic report and socioeconomic report of Germany, of France, of Spain, and so on. And this is extremely useful for operators that are working on. And then we have the last region that has a very well done tourism observatory is Puglia right now, which is very well accessible online for everybody. And you can get deep till the municipality level of data. So about granularity that we were mentioning before, it is very, very important to have it. And the other thing that we noticed is that sometimes we have data that we might be needing in tourism observatories in other kind of observatories around. An example is about climate data that we have, and this is an easy example about the region where we live, which is Emilia-Romagna. We have a very interesting tool on the ARPAE, on the region protection regional for environment. They have a tool which is called Informare ER, which is a tool for seaside tourists, but it's just on the ARPAE website. It's not on other tourist website, and might be very, very useful to cross this kind of data.
Thank you, Marco. This is very interesting because it brings us, to where technical issues meet with stakeholders, manage better governance. Since DMOs work for themselves, people in environmental departments work for themselves, and so on and so forth, especially in our country. So it gets harder to match and bring data together. We probably have time for a quick question from the floor, if anyone has one. Please, go ahead.
Sorry, but I wanted to add only a thing about these items of reports, because I have also the role with University Ca' Foscari. I work also with the Tuscany region, and I would spend one word only to the big work that we do with our team on this report. We go periodical report each 3-4 months. report, and we collected all the data set that Tuscany region has on available, and also at the end of the year we make a report, and so I think it's a good device. Yes.
Thanks so much for this final remark, I would say. I mean, the minute we spent it for this, which is great because we are in Tuscany, so it's the best way to complete our session today. So thanks to the four of you for being with us. Stefano, thanks for joining us from remote, and thanks everybody for sharing this session with us this afternoon.